If you could rate Korea from living here as a foreigner out of 10, what would you give it?
I would give it a 7. You definitely have to get used to the idea that you will always be 외국인.
Literally seeing somebody as not a human and like I can just yeet you out the way, like
There's someone who has a very long name. Korea hates long names.
What are some of the things you like about living in Korea as a foreigner?
it's much more enjoyable. I can actually live here rather than just exist.
Feeling safe as a woman, being able to walk around.
So can you tell me a bit about yourself? Like, what's your name? Where are you from?
I'm Reese. I'm Jamaican, but I mostly grew up in America.
I came from Angola.
How long have you been living in Korea?
I came to Korea in 2014, so it's been 10 years now.
I'm from the UK, London, and I've been here almost 2 years now.
I'm from the US, Wisconsin, and I've been here almost 2 years as well.
I'm Maya. I'm from Slovenia.
I'm Jenny. I'm from the UK, Wales specifically.
How long you been in Korea?
On and off the past 4 or 5 years.
Why are you in Korea in general?
Because no, it's hard to answer this question in a nice way because I think the UK is not very fun. So I think Korea is so much more like enjoyable and there's so much more to do and the weather's way nicer.
So you think that like living in Korea is better than living in the UK?
For me, it's much more enjoyable. I can actually live here rather than just exist.
Damn, why is that?
Because I don't live in London, which is the only fun place where there's things to do in the UK. If I want to do anything, I have to drive for hours and hours and hours. And the weather's not very good. And yeah, it's just not very fun.
Yeah. And you said you've been here on and off for like 4 or 5 years. So like what were you doing during that time when you came here?
I've been here just for holidays. I've been here, I taught here, I studied here, and now I'm doing working holiday.
If you could give Korea, like living in Korea as a foreigner out of 10, what would you give it?
Out of 10. In terms of what though? Like
Just in terms of general, like how you like living here.
8?
8? That's quite good. Why an 8 out of 10? Why such a high score for living in Korea?
I don't like to stay in the house too much. I like to go out and do stuff. Like if I want to go shopping or a cafe or like everything's always like changing in Korea as well. You know, that there's always a new hot place to go to or like a pop-up or like the galleries change all their stuff all the time in the museum. So there's always like something new to do. Even if you've been there like 5 times already, it kind of feels like you didn't.
You mean like specifically in Seoul or in Korea in general?
I've only really lived in Seoul and Busan, so I can't really talk about the rest of Korea. But yeah, specifically Seoul.
And Busan, like how long did you live in Busan?
Like 4 months.
Oh, so how was Busan?
Oh my god, it was amazing. I am someone who really likes the sea, so it was just so nice, you know, seeing the bridge all the time, and it's just so nice. The only downside of Busan, it takes you an hour to go anywhere. Take me on that. I'm serious. It's down the road. No, it's not. It's an hour.
And what's like the -2? Like what do you not like about living in Korea?
They have this approach in Korea, right? You're either Korean or you're not Korean. And it kind of makes you feel a little bit, I mean, clearly I'm not Korean, very clearly not Korean. So like, I'm okay, like people like register you or whatever, you know. People sometimes say like, oh, they stare at you in Korea. No, they don't. They don't stare at you. They just clock you and then move on. But like, there is definitely like a feeling like things are way more tricky for you as a foreigner. There's so many more like hoops for you to get through and they definitely don't make it easy. I do speak some Korean, so it's easier, but it's still really hard sometimes when you want to do like almost anything.
Can you elaborate on some of those hoops you have to go through? Like give some examples of what makes it so difficult other than just like having to speak Korean?
I mean, even if you just want to like order something online sometimes, you need the ARC and then you have to not just have the ARC, you need to also input all of that information every time you want to order off, I don't know, insert any app or website, yeah. And sometimes it's like, because it has to match exactly, but they only give you like 3 character spaces, like Kim blah blah, and you're like, I'm a foreigner. Yeah. My first name has more than 3 characters in it. Personal space and shoving, especially on public transportation, especially by the older generation. I know it comes from a place of like, you're older, you deserve more respect. I can get that. But there comes a point where literally seeing somebody as not a human and like I can just yeet you out the way, like get out. That's a bit much for me, you know. I don't care whether you are a 95-year-old grandma or a 5-year-old child. I will get out the way. Just let the door open so I can do that. So it's really tricky sometimes with stuff like that. Or like you need help with something because, I don't know, maybe you've got a problem with your computer. You need to call somebody to get some help to get it fixed. They don't speak English. Or they do and it's Englishy, you know, not English. Yeah, it's just always the little things, you know, like they just like little hiccups in your day that really contribute to like a bit of a souring of your...
How has your experience overall been living in Korea?
Challenging, good. I mostly enjoy it.
If you could give out of 10 your experience living in Korea, what would you give it?
I would give a 8.
Oh, that's quite high. Why so high?
Because I think that I did absorb well the Korean culture, first of all. And from the beginning, I was okay with the country, except the weather, like winter, you know, but like language, food, I was okay with that.
Oh, and why minus 2 points?
That goes to the weather, goes to the winter.
Cold here.
Yeah, too cold. Winter too cold, summer too hot, you know.
Do you have any advice for foreigners coming to Korea or who want to live or work here?
I would say you guys think twice. It's not an easy country. You know, like I always say, this country is not for weak people. You need to be strong to, you know, to be here. So don't be afraid and just go for it.
If you were to rate Korea out of 10, what would you give Korea?
Maybe an 8? I really enjoy it here.
7.5.
Why 7.5 and not 9 or 10?
Because I feel like Korea really markets itself to like get a lot of foreigners in, but then it's actually kind of hard to live here as a foreigner. So I think for a country that is really trying to get foreigners to come, making it hard for them to stay here, especially long term, is not probably the best way to go. Because even for me, just like ordering stuff simply online sometimes can be very, very difficult. So like a very simple task like that, like if I can't, you know, like it makes it really, really hard.
Like, what's hard about ordering online as a foreigner in Korea?
Well, like for the post office, I need to have like a personal custom code that I have to apply for. Now, applying for it is not hard in itself, but like I know for myself, and this is just my experience, but every time I've had to order something, I have to like submit the customs code. I get like a text message that I have to verify through another website, and it usually takes me like 5 times or more to verify it before I can get like the confirmation, and sometimes I don't even get the confirmation and I give up and I just hope that the package arrives, and so far it has just arrived, but like just simple things like that is hard.
And how about you? So, like, what is bad about Korea that you didn't like?
I wouldn't say bad as such, just different. Like Callie said, it's not easy being a foreigner here. However, because it's obviously Korea, it's not a country that's used to having foreigners. I guess like things like getting a taxi here is a lot harder as a foreigner than as Korean. I personally love it here, and everything that I've found that's like a negative, I'm kind of like, well, I chose to leave my country where I know everything, where I understand the language, and move to another country. I can't expect everything to go the way I need it or want it because I don't know the language that well, and I can't expect everyone to speak English or everything to be in English. So anything that I found a problem or I'm like, I wish it was like this, I kind of have justified it being like, well, you move countries, what do you expect? Like, you can't expect all those comforts when you're not in your home country.
Both of you guys didn't rate Korea like super low. So with that being said, like, what are some of the things you like about living in Korea as a foreigner?
I think with the one good thing about well, there's many good things about Korea, but I think there's so many different things that you can experience while you're here. So aside from like those like small disadvantages that we have as a foreigner here, like there's just a lot of experience. I think for myself personally, like I love like learning the language and like the culture and just seeing like all the different things that like you don't really get in the US. I think also Korea is very tech friendly, so there are a lot of, even though there are some inconveniences, there's a lot of conveniences as well. So just getting things like shipped to your door sometimes can be like, it's very fast and efficient sometimes. So I do like those things.
On the shipping part, like even when you order furniture that has to be built, they'll bring it to your door, and even if you're not in the house, it's safe enough here that you can give them your code and they'll go and build it for you and like leave and nothing will be touched.
Why is Korea so safe?
I honestly don't know. One of the things I've heard is like there's a lot of CCTV, but like obviously when you're inside a building, there's only so many cameras, and like my apartment doesn't have a camera inside the apartment because that's my space. But like I don't know whether it's just a cultural thing or whether it is CCTV or whatever. But like it's extremely safe here compared to back home. Like even just walking around the neighborhood at like 3 a.m., I've never felt unsafe. It doesn't matter how dark or light it is. And so when I had like a bookshelf slash desk ordered to my house, the guy was like, I need your house code. I was like, okay. And I sent it to him. And he went in and he built the whole thing and took out all the rubbish with it as well. And I was like, part of me was like, as a foreigner being like, oh my God, my house can have nothing left. And I was like, well, there aren't that many valuables in it just because it's not back home.
If you were to have done that in the UK, like what do you
Oh,
think the
no
chances
way.
are someone would have like nagged all your stuff?
It's a very high chance. I mean, I wouldn't want to say that every person in the UK is bad. I would definitely never do it at home. I'd always make sure I was home to get whatever it was and let them build it while I was there. But in Korea, I was told just this is how it is. And I was like, okay.
It's my third time here. Been here for about on and off like 3 years now. Yeah. It's just like really easy to live compared to the US.
How so? Like what are some of the differences?
First, like biggest one would definitely be like feeling safe as a woman, being able to like walk around. Not that like you shouldn't be cautious, but it's definitely like safer compared to America
Yeah.
for that.
Like if you could give living in Korea out of 10, what would you give it like as a score?
I would say like an 8.
That's actually pretty good. Like
Yeah.
why is it such a good score?
First of all, everything's really convenient.
Yeah.
Like, who doesn't love convenience? Being able to like walk out of your house and like everything could be like right there. Oh, I love how fast delivery is. Like if you order something, it literally comes like overnight and it's like at your door. That's amazing. Like we ordered furniture for our apartment, me and my friend, and we ordered the sofa and it literally came put together in the box. We just literally had to like lift it out of the box. Oh, and I love that like they put together your big furniture for you. Like I ordered like a whole unit and the guy just put it together as he delivered it. It was great.
You didn't give it a 9 or a 10, so like what are the -2 points for?
It can be like really hard sometimes when you are a minority in a place and like, you know, even though it's like not like a huge deal, sometimes people staring at you all the time is not like great if you live in more like the West Bumble areas where there's not as many foreigners. Sometimes also like the language barrier, even like if you speak a little bit of Korean, like there's some things that can be hard. Like if you don't have an ARC, it's kind of like really impossible to do a lot of things. Like if you want to order food online or just order like products, like
online
through
shopping.
Coupang, yeah, online shopping can be hard. Signing up for stuff, like if they need to confirm your identity and you get like, it can be really annoying. So it's like possible, but it is inconvenient in an annoying enough way.
Do you speak Korean?
조금,
한국말 할 수 있어요?
조금,
그냥 조금?
조금.
어떻게 배웠어요?
저 서강대학교 다녔어요.
Do you think as a foreigner you need to know Korean to live here?
Yes.
Like how good?
I think that you need to know, as far as like comfortably, you know, because I think I hear a lot of people that like complain about living here, right? And like a lot of the times they don't really know any Korean. And of course, it's going to be hard to live somewhere where you feel like you can't get anything across. I feel like you need to be like, know more than the basics, like comfortably be able to like,
Get some of your point across?
yeah. I do think it really is like a necessity. If you're going to live here long term at least, then yeah, make an effort to learn as much Korean as possible. Like obviously you're not going to be like fluent. It's not super easy, but it is something that would make living here a lot easier for you.
And do you have any advice to not Koreans, do you,
My advice to Koreans,
Be
don't
nice.
drink so much.
How has the experience been overall just as a foreigner in Korea?
It's definitely more difficult than I expected, I guess. It's kind of hard sometimes to integrate into the society. Like, no matter what you do, you're kind of a foreigner. But if you're lucky, you can meet like some people who have like traveled abroad or other international people who are like have kind of similar experiences to you, so then you can kind of relate more and kind of grow the friendship from there.
In terms of living as a foreigner in Korea, if you could rate living as a foreigner in Korea out of 10, what would you give it?
Oh, that's a difficult question. I would, I don't know, maybe like in the 7. I think 7 is a fair score. Like, it's definitely not easy, but I also can't complain too much. It's very safe. It's like really convenient, and like there's a lot to do. So like Korea is a nice place to live, but you shouldn't be too naive about like the culture here. Like we're still foreigners.
So the -3 points is for being a foreigner here.
I guess, yeah. Like it's kind of hard to feel accepted all of the time, and you definitely get stared at a lot. And so even though it's kind of changing now, like there's more and more foreigners, so it's becoming more open, but there's still a long way to go, I think.
In terms of the differences between the culture in Europe and Korea, when you came here, was there anything that just really shocked you?
Maybe like yeah, the drinking culture. I don't know. Like I thought maybe it would be really easy to like get along with Koreans because I'm in Korea, so I thought I'd have a lot of like Korean friends, but I still feel like there's some barrier that's not necessarily like a language barrier, but I just feel like some distance to them that I can't really explain that well. So that was one thing. And then there's no trash cans in Korea, so that's a forever problem.
My name is Emma, and I'm from Canada.
Canada, eh? Timmy Hose. Why did you come to Korea?
Well, I came here in 2019 for my brother's wedding, and just honestly being here really inspired me about the culture and the language, so I thought, why not do it myself?
And what are you doing here in Korea?
I'm an English teacher.
If you could rate Korea from living here as a foreigner out of 10, what would you give it?
Honestly, I definitely think it's a person-by-person base, but I would give it a 7. I think there are a lot of really like I learn something new every single day that I'm here, and for me that environment is good. It's like cohesive with my personality, so yeah, 7.
Fair. And 7 is not a low score, but it's not a particularly high score. So why the -3 points?
I would say just being able to kind of acclimate into this culture is really difficult, and it's something that I really wanted to do, and kind of on discovering how hard it was to do, that would definitely be a minus for me. I think it's such a homogenous culture, so you definitely have to get used to the idea that you will always be 외국인 here.
What are like the positives? Because 7 is also not like a 3. So
I would definitely say I love my job. I love the food. Like there's no beating the food here. And honestly, I find as a people, Koreans are really willing to learn and like try. So I feel like once they are able to listen to us and talk to us, they're always like, yeah, we need to do better. We need to try better. So having that kind of respect for those people and the culture in general, that's a huge positive for me.
as a foreigner living in Korea, do you think learning Korean or speaking Korean is required?
It's not required, but it surely would make your life a lot easier here. Even just like simple phrases here and there will make things a lot easier.
그럼 한국말 할 수 있어요?
조금은 할 수 있어요.
그렇구나.
So I don't think you have to. However, I think it's more respectful and polite to at least learn basic phrases. I mean, if you're only here on vacation, then fair enough. You can get away with hello and thank you. But if you're staying long term, I feel like you should learn, at least be able to like order your own food or something like that. You know, it doesn't have to be anything extreme. I just think it's very polite, and I think it's a very privileged way to look at life. Like everyone should speak English. So I always try and learn at least, yeah, hello, thank you, sorry, or excuse me.
So would you say then like learning Hangul is like kind of 100% necessary for foreigners living in Korea?
No, I mean, I feel like I've encountered people who've lived here much longer than I have who like don't even speak like half of what I speak, and they've seemed to have managed perfectly fine. So I don't think it's absolutely necessary. But it does make your life, I do feel like it does make your life easier, and I agree with Chloe. I think it's a very respectful thing. Like I think as a linguist, like language is a very big part of identity in the way that you associate and communicate with people around you. So I think being able to take on or like a little bit of that communicative burden like really goes a long way.
Koreans, especially the older generation, are much nicer to you if they can understand you, or at least they can see you're trying.
I don't think you need to. I think it definitely depends on how long you want to be here. If you're just coming for like a short little trip, just like hello, goodbye, thank you, please, super basics. I think you should do that wherever you go. It's just a general sign of respect. But if you want to live here for longer, I would say definitely worth sitting down and studying. Hey, at least learn to read. It's phonetic. It's going to take you 30 minutes.
Yeah.
At least do that.
So you speak Korean decently well.
I used to speak way better than I do now, but yeah, decent.
Do you have any advice for foreigners coming into Korea, like what they should know, anything like that?
Think about the culture and be considerate. That's literally it.
Yeah.
That's my biggest ick with foreigners here is when they don't care and they're not considerate. They haven't thought, hang on, this is a very different culture and a very different way of being. It's not about you, babe. Sorry.
Well, obviously being aware of like the culture and how things are here is going to be very important for them to know as well when they come here. It's going to help you navigate social environments.
When you get here, get yourself your own SIM card, because to open things like bank accounts, anything that verifies your identity goes through your phone number. Also, the order of your name, very important, and length of name, because as someone who has a very long name, Korea hates long names. Try and find Korean friends, because I think you get a much more authentic experience about how Koreans do certain things, or how they, even for things like hanging out at a bar or going drinking or just anything. I think you can go through life living here with no Korean friends, because that's possible. There are enough foreigners and you will get connected very quickly to a foreigner community here. However, you could do the same thing back at home. So
Hey guys, thanks for watching the video all the way to the end. If you did like the video, please hit subscribe. It really helps me out to make more content. I have a ton of videos I'm going to be posting from both Korea and Japan over the next few weeks and months. So if you do like the channel, let me know in the comments down below what I should do up next. Thanks again.